Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To help keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stoke Seeds. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stoke Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, and harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Pre-order your free 2018 gardening guide today from stokeseeds.com, cultivating successful growers for generations. We'll have more to come from Stoke Seeds in the next few weeks. Now, on to today's question. And again, Fred, we had a question from planttalkradio.com. It's just click on the Ask Fred button, and this comes from Dell. And Dell has some catchfly seeds, and he wants to know, should he sow those now and let them stay in the ground over winter, or should he wait until spring?
Perhaps both. And I always say this when I don't know for sure. Well, divide the seeds into halves or thirds, whichever. Let's go with thirds. Put them in an envelope, mark what it is, put them in the back of the refrigerator where it stays approximately 40. It's usually in refrigerators today, they're kept dry inside and so on and so forth. And that can be a perfect storage place for dry seed. Then I think I would go ahead and plant a third of them, sunny spot, but they'll also handle a fair amount of shade or let's just say light shade without any problem. And go ahead and plant those now. In what little I remember as a seedsman, which is very small, I think that would work out fine because they will not germinate as it gets this cold. So they'd probably lay fallow. Now you've got a crow and a bird of other kinds and so on that could pick them up and take off with them. And then in the spring, either of two things. As best you can determine, roughly 8 weeks before we're going to be frost-free, you get a flat of good soil and seed them into this flat, put them under light, be ready to raise the lights up as the plants grow and so on. And they should be ready to go out then, we'll say May 15th. So you back it off to April and March and you start them. Or if you want to, let's just say get on about it, but not waste so much of your winter doing it, 3 weeks before May 15th or thereabouts, you would start to seed and then be ready to put them right on out as true youngsters, little tiny seedlings, so that you're covering yourself 3 different ways. They're I'm going to call them a natural plant. I have for a very long time called them spring phlox. The head of the flower is usually light blue. That can vary some. And it has if you looked at a picture of the two plants, phlox and the silene, I don't think, a taxonomist could tell real quick because of all the fine details, but I've always called them spring phlox. They're beautiful along the roadside, growing up ditch banks under light shade from great big tall trees. They're quite nice, and they don't last long, 3-4 weeks, which is pretty good run for that matter. And then they're not very temperamental. If you find a spot where they will grow, they will kind of seed themselves and move on into, we'll call it areas or patches.
So these are, would you consider these perennials?
Mark, I'd have to look it up, but I think they're perennials. I don't think, that's a good question. I'm going to bet, though, in that I'm thinking of several places where they are there each year.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say they're perennials because the plants I'm seeing are fairly well full size at 15, 18 inches. The flower heads are big, beautiful, and I'm guessing that a seedling from an annual, I don't think could do that. So I'm going to guess they're perennials.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you have a question for Fred, go ahead and email us, fred@planttalkradio.com. And for the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to www.stokeseeds.com. Pre-order your free 2018 gardening guide today from stokeseeds.com. Cultivating successful growers for generations.